Good morning. So I'm going to talk about the mass media here. This is going to go a little long because I'm going to touch on some points here. If we're going to start back with the town hall that on last Thursday that Kamala Harris had with Anderson Cooper being the moderator. As I said in my last video, I lasted 5 minutes because I could tell from the minute that Anderson Cooper presented himself, I didn't hear a journalist. I heard a carnival barker standing there in the midway just yelling, "Hey, come over here, one shot, one shot. Try to knock her off the pedestal. Any question, it's all right. Come on in." Because all those questions and all those people were plants. Come on. I mean, undecided by now? That's so much bullshit. You were just looking for TV time. I mean, I lasted the first questionnaire with that lady who already doesn't like Trump, but she's undecided, and the second questionnaire who, as soon as he said, "I'm a libertarian," I was out. So I saw some of the highlights. She held her own. After that, Dana Bash came up from MSNBC on CNN and goes, I don't think she closed the deal. Really. Trump's running around in Arizona saying fascist shit, but she didn't close the deal for you, Dana. You see where I'm trending here. This morning, Charlamagne Tha God sat down with Anderson Cooper. I don't listen to his show. I really only get the highlights when people put them up. So forgive me. But he sat down with Kamala Harris, and I saw some of the highlights, and he was really good. He really did touch her and stuff, but she was really responsive. It was a very good interview. His questions were legitimate. His reactions were legitimate. And Anderson Cooper started in, and he just said, bang, hey, why don't you cover Trump like you cover Kamala Harris? You have a roundtable whether or not she's black or not, but you don't talk about have a roundtable whether Trump is a fascist or not. Why don't you talk about his cognitive history? Why don't you talk about his statements and his racism? And then Anderson Cooper thought he was going to be badass and said, "Oh, that's bullshit." And Congressman said, "No, brother, it's not. I see it." See, Anderson Cooper is a shell of the man who he is. When they changed over ownership and that guy went into that weird conservative thing when they had Trump on that first interview, which was horrendous and it really lost him a lot of viewers, Anderson Cooper was the first one to defend that interview. He is now a corporate shill. He is not a fucking a journalist anymore. Same with Dana Bash. This morning on Morning Joe, Eugene Robinson from the Washington Post had an article talking about the same thing. They don't measure Trump the same way they measure Kamala Harris, and he says things that normally would get someone disqualified for office: the misogyny, the racism, the fascism. But they kept saying that they didn't know how to cover them. No, they know how to cover them. They're just covering them this way because it benefits the mass media. Which brings me to the paper side. As we know, the Los Angeles Times owner is a billionaire partner of Donald Trump, is hoping to get into his cabinet. He stopped the paper from endorsing Kamala Harris, and one editor resigned, and several editors are resigning now. I wish the whole people would walk out and say, fuck you, go find new reporters. But it's a hard business to find a job as a journalist, so I get you. I understand that. The editors have some experience, so they probably can land somewhere. But this morning, his daughter, very rich, very privileged, said the paper was not going to. The reason they want to do it, they want to endorse someone who is carrying on a war against children in Gaza. Lady, you don't even know how to make your own coffee, and you said that. That was a total gaslight lie. They're catering to Trump because if you really were thinking that, you would know that Trump would level Gaza and then Netanyahu would sell Jared Kushner the land so he can make homes. But you do you. But the biggest egregious today, the Washington Post is refusing to endorse a candidate. The Washington Post, who brought down Nixon. The Washington Post, one of the biggest papers in America with integrity and ethics, refuses to endorse a presidential candidate, even though they see what's going on. The Times at least had the balls to do it. And then they're polling and their fake news, or not fake news, I'm going to say that, but they're covering Kamala Harris has kind of still been the same. They are pro-Trump, but they won't do it. Why? Because they're afraid what might happen if Trump becomes president. Let me tell you what's going to happen if he does become president. He's going to close you down anyway and arrest all your reporters. He's going to do it. But you guys don't see that because your ownership. And hey, Jeff Bezos, I know you're Amazon rich, but really, dude, this is stupid. But this is what the mass media has become. And once we win this election, there's got to be a reckoning. If you subscribe to the Washington Post, I suggest you stop. Because they have no courage anymore. They have nothing. They don't care. All right. But we just have to, if you haven't voted, please vote. Vote blue, and you have a good day.